Hey everyone, it's Mike. I want to go over your project number 2 for you. It's the main service revised. You'll find it in week 5 of your content, the student answer sheet that I want you to hand in. It's an Excel sheet again. There's 5 more questions to answer for this one. Please note this one's only out of 33, so there's less work I would say to do for this project than the first project. When you're handing in your projects through email, it's helpful for me and it can expedite things on my end to get marks back out to you quicker if you're relabeling the files when you send them in with your name, as opposed to just the default file name that it's coming to me as. Now, in week 5, you'll find all the information you need for project number 2. So I've got their main service revised, or we could say restructuring of the main service. So the electrical engineer has requested a change be made to the main service. The hydro supply transformer will be 600 volts on the secondary. So you can see in purple, I've drawn a line from the pad mount transformer to where it will enter the building. They would like the main service to be run in DB2 conduit. That's that thin-walled conduit. I showed you an example of that in class with the racks, or the chairs they might call them, to hold the conduit in its proper configuration. They would like the service to be run in DB2 conduit. It's going to be encased in concrete, so when we're running this thin-walled conduit, it needs to be encased in concrete for extra mechanical damage, or to provide mechanical protection against any damage. 2 parallel runs instead of the 3 that are noted on the drawing. Now we're moving to 2 parallel runs because we've increased our voltage. I want you to follow the instructions in diagram D11A, detail 2. You'll need to provide the size of the conduit, the length of the conduit, what type of conductors, what size of the conductors, the total amount of conduit or concrete required to encase the conduits in cubic meters. And then you would be putting caution tape on top of this trench as well before we completely fill it in. I'll draw you another picture shortly. But then on the inside of the building, I'll draw what it's going to look like, because we're going to remove the MCC. That's the cells and the switches. And we're going to replace it with a single 600 volt disconnect switch. So one big switch. The disconnect switch will feed a single splitter or a trough with lugs built inside it, and which in turn this will feed individual disconnects for each unit. So this would be more typical of a building of this nature. We would feed a large disconnect inside the building. It feeds a splitter. The splitter feeds smaller disconnects. The disconnect sizes closer to the sizes you see on your drawing. 600 volts would then leave the disconnects, go to their individual unit that they serve, into another disconnect, transformer, which will step down our primary voltage of 600 down to 122.08, and then into our panels that'll feed our lights and receptacles in the units. By doing this, by taking a higher voltage right to our unit, we're decreasing our conduit size and our wire size. And then we have more control in each unit. Provide size of main disconnect, so that main 600 volt disconnect that we first go to when we get inside the building. And then we want the size of the individual disconnects and the size of the splitter. So for this unit, we're just doing the drugstore and the bakery. I don't need you to find or calculate all the disconnect sizes for all the units. Now remember, we have 600 volts coming into the building. Our individual units are 122.08. So we'll need transformers for each of the units I want you to size for. The transformers will be hung in the units they serve. In each unit, they want a fusible disconnect feeding the panel. So I'll draw a picture of that. But I want everybody to see what we are doing for the main service coming into the building. We haven't changed the scale. We haven't changed the actual trench itself, because the detail's different. The depth of the trench will change. You need to calculate concrete. That'll be in volume. You have to know how to calculate volume. And then we have to be able to calculate the secondary side of our 350 kVA 600 volt transformer. Any questions with this? We'll call this step 1. send them my way. Okay, guys?